Welcome to Lubin is Listening, a recap podcast about Severance, the only good television show. I'm Matt S.
And I'm Laci R.
We have heard that our Audis are married to each other. All that we know about each other is what we do here at work at this desk where we talk about Severance, the show. And if you are listening to Lumen is Listening on the podcast feed, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That'd be delightful.
That would be so Kier of you.
Kier would bless you tenfold. And then please do, for more Kier blessings, subscribe to Load Bearing Beams, which is our main movie podcast. We do a deep dive into a different movie every week.
You can buy your way into Kier heaven. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, no.
We do sell indulgences in the form of our Patreon. But we're talking about Chikhai Bardo, episode 7 of season 2 of Severance. And this episode was co-written by Dan Erickson, the creator of Severance, and Mark Friedman. And the director is Jessica Lee Gagne. This episode came out yesterday, February 28th, 2025. Jessica Lee Gagne is a French-Canadian cinematographer, a longtime cinematographer. And this, I believe, is the first time she's directed anything. And
wow.
I think that this is probably the most stylized episode the show has ever done. Like, for all of the sci-fi weirdness the show has, it's like a pretty locked down show in terms of its visual language.
Yeah, this one was the butterfly effect.
It kind of was the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
It's jumping around in time, but doing things like
playing with color grading,
home video, like montages,
sped up stuff.
Yes.
Things set to music.
Playing with the frame rates. Exactly.
Music
yes.
being in one scene and then carrying over to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it because his mind is journeying, and so is hers.
Yes. And it's pretty well done, I think.
Mm-hmm. But it does go to your thing of first-time directors putting in maybe one or two more tricks than they need. But it didn't bother me. I thought it was.
I think that's a thing in movies. I don't know how true that is in TV. It might be though. I think that getting a cinematographer kind of makes sense if you're gonna be taking a bunch of big visual chances you don't always take. But like just this episode, as an episode, what do you think, Laci?
This is the first time I woke up on a Friday and wasn't super pumped for Severance. I'm always going to be pumped. But the episode before being one of my favorite, if not my favorite of the entire series, I just knew it can't. It's going to be a letdown. Rewatching it has made me like it more, but it's probably my second least favorite so far. That doesn't mean it's not good. It's just my favorite things about this show are not the mysteries, are not figuring out what Cold Harbor is. It is the study of humans and getting to know our humans that we know in the show and seeing how they deal with this very complex sci-fi idea.
How they go through it together with each other.
Exactly. And this episode, it got me to buy into to Gemma and Mark's relationship. I totally think that they are madly in love in a way that him and Helly probably could not be. There's something kind of serene and
Team Helly.
And I mean, I'm with you. It's just they needed if we're supposed to give a shit that they reunite, I guess I needed this episode, but it is the relationship I care the least about, and I got to spend no time with any. It might as well have been a new show. It was the most it's ever been like the show Lost.
Because
I don't know.
Because you get the sense, the frustrating thing Lost would do, but I really think the show Westworld was most guilty of this, of withholding information from the viewer, not for reasons that are thematic or that are important to the character. I think the best reason to withhold information from the viewer is because you're also withholding it from the character. But the characters you're watching on screen know things that you don't know, and that can be really frustrating.
We've said from the beginning, we don't want this to be an Easter egg hunt. We are not trying to look for the mystery. With this episode, that is all they expect you to do. And so each time I've watched it, now I've watched it 1.5 times, because it was also the saddest one to watch. I have theories, and I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that I have theories.
Yes, we have theories, and we do complain about theories. And again, there's a billion YouTube channels you can watch that break down everything.
However, we did find a way to make this a very us episode by discussing things that our
innies can do, and we will get to that.
Right. Because that's what we care. We care about, like, if this thing is a reality, what does it do to human beings? What does it carry that thought all the way through?
Yes.
That's what we get. That's what we find interesting about this show.
So you said that Gemma's the character we care about least, and part of that is just we haven't spent any time with her. We don't know her, and so this is First time we've really watched her at all. And
She's enchanting.
Dichen Lachman is the actor, and I think it's a really good chance for her to be the lead of an episode, then also consider the challenge. This is a first real exposure to the character. And she is playing, in this episode, dozens of different iterations of her innie, and so she has to play them a little differently with a little distinction, a little
Right.
just different enough. Yeah, this is the weakest episode of the season to me because it is the most puzzle boxy.
Yeah.
And it is about the
It's one of those shock. We're supposed to be like, look at the weirdness of all of this.
Yes.
Look at her packaged food. Look at the strange doctor that is in every single room. Oh my God, there's a counterpart room. There's people watching through their computers while they're working. Like, it's just all these little. It's too many. My shirt says what it says for a reason. I'm at once understimulated and overstimulated. I don't know where I'm supposed to look, and it's annoying because it feels like a gimmick.
This episode is overstimulating. I've watched it 3 times. The first time I was legitimately confused and just misunderstood certain things.
Yeah.
Second time I got it. Third time I'm like, okay, and also I'm like, I basically figured out what this whole show is about in a way. From watching this episode. But there's a thing that a prestige television show will do around episode 7 of its season, which is flashback episode.
Yeah.
And your heart always sinks a little when you're like, no, I don't want to watch the characters as kids. No.
We got to exactly pick up where we left off on the episode before last and then the last one. And I was like, fuck yes, let's just keep going just like this. And I know in a way we did that because Devin is now dealing with her brother who experienced a stroke or whatever was going on. This is cheating, sir. This is cheating.
This is also, I understand the realities of television. I think so many shows do it because it's a way to not have to pay the actors. Hey, we only have 2 of our main actors for this episode. Hey, we'll just hire a bunch of new. You think you're ever going to see Sandra Burkhardt again? No. And
Sandra Bernard, right?
Bernhard. So when it's a flashback episode, when your heart sinks and you're like, oh, okay, fuck. You at least know this is really important to understand the characters who I spend so much time with. I ideally am going to learn a lot about Mark.
Right.
I've learned some emotional truth about him. And I guess what we are to take away from this episode is this guy really wanted a baby. Also loves his wife.
They're very deeply, and they seem to have had like just a truly romantic relationship. I did realize on my third half watch that I had some inklings the first watch, and I was like, ignore that. It's stupid. But now after watching it just now, why am I having a hard time saying this? I think it's clear that Gemma worked for Lumen before they met. I think she was there doing some Lumen stuff, but wasn't supposed to get attached. She's resistant at first to him in introducing himself. She's immediately won over by his charm, but it's the shaking of the hand that lets you know, like, this isn't what you were sent here for. You are going to catch some shit for this. You're supposed to be unattached. So I think there might be a John Wick situation with her where she was given a reprieve for a while.
And then she's called back home. It's funny. It never occurred to me that that's what's going on.
The real key is when he surprises her after they have like a wonderful, sexy night, he brings her an ant farm. She did not expect him to come in. And she hurries up and picks up papers, one of them being a big certificate of something. But that's not the point. The point is she's like, I'm late for a lecture of papers everywhere. But no, she's picking up the papers like, you're not supposed to see these papers. So I think she's being allowed to have a relationship with him as long as he does not interfere with what's going on with her.
If that's the case, I mean,
no,
then that's just
it's
bad.
Annoying.
That's bad, right? Like, isn't it way more interesting? Like, what seems to be going on in my assessment and my read of what's happening is she wants a baby, but sees how much he wants a baby and apparently is doing some fertility treatments with Lumen and maybe made a promise to them.
I also thought that.
Can I explain what it is I thought?
I would love that.
That Lumen says, like, we guarantee you a baby. We just need you to fake your death. Or I said, that's pretty drastic. I was talking with our 14-year-old and the 14-year-old said, no. Gemma didn't know that she was going to be told she's dead. She's just like, hey, just come over to the office. We'll send some messages over to Mark. You're just going to have to not see him for 6 months or so. Super confidential, super hush hush. So hope you understand. And that it just built from there.
That's an interesting
And that seemed
theory.
reasonable to me, like
Yeah.
much more reasonable than this. Really, they faked a woman's death. Like, I know this company's evil, but I like it when it's evil within the rules of
the
what
rules.
corporations are allowed to do.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's plenty of meat on that bone. We don't need to make it uber evil, because then it feels like we're not spending time really evaluating important things about our actual reality.
Yeah. We know it's bad if companies kill people.
So can I say my thing now, which is that I think that this break was built in. I think that she was always supposed to be doing. I think that's why she was going to give blood. There's something about blood, right? Their whole symbol is a blood drop, and it could be symbolism, and it probably is both. This idea of the vampirism thing that you brought up, and that it's Lumen is constantly looming and constantly sucking and constantly reminding you that they're there. Yeah, that's true. She was given some kind of reprieve. She's important enough that they will wait for her, or she made them a promise of a baby. I don't think this woman would give up her baby to Lumen, but I do wonder if they gave her this break and then prolonged it because she was trying to get pregnant. And I'm wondering that if it's after the third round being the charm, isn't the charm, she cannot get pregnant again. I'm wondering if that wasn't okay, this is why we gave you this break. You can't fulfill it. You're not able to produce. So now you have to come back as we already said you would. So I think she knew, I don't know that she knew about the fake death part, but she was leaving and she knew she was, or if she didn't know she was going that night, she knew that she would need to return to Lumen.
If that's
and
the case,
finish what she's doing.
I just find that so much dramatically less interesting.
I know. I hope
it turns out I'm a spy. Like, okay, great.
No, I don't think she's a spy on him.
No, I
think
know,
she
but
fell in love with him.
guess what? Turns out I have a hidden identity. Like, that's boring.
I think it's boring too.
What we do learn, which of those is true ultimately lead to the same thing, where I think the first time we talked about Severance on a podcast, we asked, like, so what is Lumen really doing here? What is this all about? What are the numbers? And my hypothesis was this is all just product testing. The product is Severance, and it's not, we're going to sell middle-class people on being able to live their best lives. It's, we are going to create basically slaves for the wealthy class to outsource the things that, so when you are super wealthy, what does wealth really buys you? It buys you the ability to remove friction from life.
Yeah.
Things that get in your way.
To delegate.
Someone else can clean my house, raise my kids, etc. But there's certain things that, God damn it, you still have to do with your own body, and that outrages rich people. Why should I have to take this flight? Why should I have to go to church, take a shit, have sex with my wife,
go to the dentist?
Yes. So can't someone else do it? There you go. How valuable could it be to a company to hire severed workers to do data entry? You can hire somebody, pay them minimum wage to do that.
Now, if Gemma is so essential and because of the kind of experimenting she's involved in down there, why have the severed floor at all? Why have a completely different experiment happening? And I think that what they're trying to figure out is it better for our product if our innie is severed and fractional? It is many innies, the way that Gemma is, to be only the dentist innie, only the Christmas
card
thank you card innie, or to be someone like Mark and have a full experience and become a fully formed person in a way that Gemma's innies aren't and can't.
When I asked the question, what do we think these numbers are? I thought, like, well, it's bullshit. It's how far can we push people before they snap?
Yeah.
Or what's the most menial thing we can just have them do? And what incentives do we have to give them? If we're not giving them money, will finger traps and waffle parties actually inspire them to work hard?
Yeah.
And so that's a form of product testing. And maybe this is the thing that they're selling right now, but this is the actual golden goose. One day it's already in beta testing. Like, the pregnant senator's wife can outsource her labor to an innie. But with Gemma, it really seems like the episode doesn't spell this out, but each room she goes into becomes a distinct innie. So I'm the innie whose whole life is being on flights. I'm the innie whose whole life is writing Christmas cards.
Yes.
And this is fucking horrifying to think about.
Because people don't actually know what's good for them in a sense. If you give somebody everything that they want, it's like any drug. It's like overindulging in anything. It is going to change your life in the wrong way.
Your sympathy immediately goes to the rich person. My sympathy is with the innie. If my whole life is going to the dentist.
Of course, I'm saying that people don't actually. God, you're right. Fuck. But I guess I just mean they're giving themselves the ultimate luxury and completely robbing themselves of having a true personality and being relatable in any fucking regard. Because when you go talk to your other rich people who've also gone through things, only all of a sudden no one's ever gone through anything. What the fuck do you talk about? How do you create art? How do you give a shit?
Anyway.
How do you give a shit about traveling? You're blowing my mind in a bad way.
Yes, and it won't be good for them, but lots of things are not good for phones. We are not happier, but we are miserable because of our phones. We're never going to give them up, though. We'll never give them up. But Laci and I were brainstorming, what things could you have your innie do? Because it's like that crucial thing of my body has to be present, and that's bullshit. Exercise. My innie can exercise for me. My innie can go to the dentist. My innie can go to physical therapy. My innie can go to church. My innie can play with my children.
But I tried to put it more on what would a rich person do with an innie, and so definitely plastic surgery recovery is absolutely something they would do.
You said go to prison for tax evasion.
Yes, they would.
My innie's going to prison.
Yes, only a prison innie. Only that innie would at least have more of a life than fucking constantly on an airplane innie.
That innie would have to split into 19 different innies for the prison experience.
Now, you had the one of be hungover for me innie. Fine, but they could just do the IV trick, right? Like,
if that's enough, sure.
Also, being hungover is like a full day event.
But it is the skip credits button of life.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I have to spend 10 hours on this airplane? Boop. Now it's 10 hours later. Arrive for the movie too early. That's my innie's problem now.
No one wants to watch Maria Menounos. But the innie's always there for Maria Menounos is like little trivia and spiel. So your innie's doctrine is like it's like, ooh, heel squad. That's the ultimate. That's the ultimate chalice. I hope one day that she brings heel squad upon me.
Okay, so they're forming a religion around Maria Menounos.
Yes,
they never get to hear heel squad though.
It is a giant woman on the screen in front of me. She must be so important, and she likes when I eat milk duds. I'm doing it for you, Mommy Menounos.
Go to detox. Go to
Okay, wait. This one's my favorite one. Has anyone ever had a kid who is in swimming? It is the most boring fucking experience of your life because every Saturday you're going to go to a swim meet. Famously, any swim event is very short because it's hard to swim. So at the most, you're watching your kid in the water for 1 minute at a time. And the rest of the time, you're just fucking waiting.
But you have to be there for like a 14-hour day baking in the sun.
When they call you, you just have to know the schedule. You have to be prompt and show up or whatever. You get skipped. So I'm picturing all rich people. This is at like a fucking country club. Okay, so it's just people. Zenny's just, and then all of a sudden it's their kid's turn. So the Audi pops and it's like, all right, Marissa, way to go. Look at, swim, honey, swim. Oh, she's done. Click back to the, so it's just a very different vibe. There's a ton of zombie people and just a couple of excited people at a time.
Yeah, if we're allowed to like, if we just have a switch in our pocket where we can activate it at any time, then yeah, you're going to be doing it in all kinds of. Your child is telling you about the boring TV show they like. Time for my innie to take over and act interested.
Okay, but we haven't figured out how they go back to Audi. You said they would need some sort of innie Audi chaperone.
Yeah. That's why this is a product for the wealthy. You know,
right.
It's like Jurassic Park, but maybe there'll be a coupon day. But you said like, yeah, what this will turn the rich people into is like just worthless puds.
Right. They would just turn them into a different version of an innie. They will have no life experience. It'll flip.
Yeah. And they'll be the monster at the end of the substance, just like a formless blob. So let's talk about the episode itself. The episode opens. The first shot of the episode is Gemma. We know it's we suspect it's Gemma walking through a tube, kind of like a birth canal, if you think about it.
I guess
looks a little sci-fi, looks a little futuristic, but then she gets to the end and no, it's a square at a college campus. And we know she and Mark were college professors. We see Mark looking younger, Is he digitally de-aged? Maybe a little.
I don't. Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe they just did a little.
He looks like a snack. So
his face is just a lot thinner. But he and Gemma sit next to each other getting blood drawn for a blood drive, and they have a little meet cute. He looks at her and he's like, what papers are you grading? And she says,
it's a book. But all right.
No, she's working on grading a paper called Themes of Religious Conversion in Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich.
Sorry.
It's okay. Well, that book recurs throughout the episode. More on that in a second. Mark is like, oh, that's funny. I'm working on All Quiet on the Western Blunt, drug use by enlisted soldiers during World War I.
Most importantly, though, she gets to show you her witty sense of humor is just like his witty sense of humor. And because he can't reach over and shake her hand like you would at a meeting, because he's hooked up to his thing, he has to just extend his arm like you would to a lover. And so their first touch is that of like people who are just meant to be in a bed together. Mm-hmm. It's so cute.
It is cute.
But you can tell when that is happening that she's like, I'm breaking the rules, but you're very cute.
Yeah, but her rule could just be I don't date my colleagues.
My colleagues.
I'm an attractive woman. I don't often, I don't know.
All right.
And I just, the way he goes, I'm sorry, who are you?
That is also my point. I don't think she's always around.
She just showed up here. Okay.
I think she just needed to get her blood drawn. She's got some kind of fucking quota. I don't know what the hell she is. She probably stays to herself so that she doesn't get into these predicaments.
We pan over and see the blood tube is over a Lumen logo. Oh my God, this is Lumen blood. And the thing of Lumen being Dracula, I'm serious about this.
I know you are.
I know you know. They are Dracula's castle. They suck they don't just literally suck people's blood. They suck the blood from the earth. And this is what companies do, just extract the resources from the ground until there's nothing left.
There's even a shot of them taking blood from her neck. And I'm like, okay, very vampire.
Yeah. And God, I shouldn't say this.
Do it.
When he gives her a shot in the butt, I was like, God, I hope this doesn't become a kink of mine. Because I don't know. I was like, it's kind of hot.
It's kind of hot.
I want to give my wife a shot in the butt. I don't know why. I don't know.
Because you can tell me to shut up and turn around and bend over.
And for you to be like, ow, and be like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
This happens in the movie Love Lies Bleeding too. This is where I first noticed, oh God.
It's doing something to my dick.
Is that my thing? I truly hope not, but all right.
We can try it.
Let's talk Tolstoy, Laci. Ivan Ilyich is a novella that Tolstoy wrote later in his life. I read this book in college.
Tolstoy is capable of writing short things?
Yes.
I did not
This
know.
is why it's the only work of Tolstoy's I have read. I have never read War and Peace. I've never read Anna Karenina, to my shame. But it is about a prominent Russian socialite who confronts having a terminal illness, all the various remedies he tries to avoid, all the various remedies he tries just to avoid accepting my fate. Mm-hmm. Sort of, I'm rich, I'm important, I can't die. But he has to deal with the fact that, I've lived kind of a shitty life. I valued the wrong things. I valued material accumulation and accomplishment over the people in my life. But he has this servant named Gerasim who does not fear death. And he realizes it's better to be my peasant servant Gerasim than to be me. And he realizes the point of life is to show others gratitude and compassion. And he dies and sort of achieves a kind of ego death, which is a recurring idea throughout this episode of getting to a point in your life where you can be comfortable with letting go of the you are in a way. And it seems like Gemma seems to be, whether it's voluntary or not, undergoing a sort of ego death.
Yeah.
At least Lumen talks to her and you've given up pain and you've given up the trappings of this world. And if she asks questions about Mark, they're like, oh, shame on you, Gemma. You're
backsliding.
You're not supposed to still care about that. Exactly. And this episode's going to be a little weird to talk about because it just jumps around so much in time.
Right.
But, I guess there is the present timeline, or present enough, where we see outie Gemma in the present, but she's an outie in the Lumen building, only in a specific location in the building. Mm-hmm. And she's talking with this nurse played by Sandra Bernhard,
clearly doing her daily checkup. Yes, just her daily check-in. They are diligently checking their test subject. I find it interesting that part of her regimen is that she has to do her readings.
Yeah.
Of Kier.
Don't say. But I mean, she has all the books on her shelf. I don't know. So the nurse asks, Gemma, where did you go? The Devin will ask Mark this at the end of the episode.
Okay, but also she's drawing her blood while she goes, and where she went was the memory of her drawing blood and meeting Mark for the first time. So all of it's connected. They're just showing you that this entire time she's been thinking of him and he's been thinking of her. They've never been really apart.
Well, and there's this interesting thing of, her in the present, she's always getting measured and blood taken and probably urine samples and stuff, and they're measuring her pulse. And
if they're getting a urinalysis of fucking Milchick, yeah. I think they're taking her fucking pee and poo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, probably every single pee has to go for analysis.
And the half of it to the doctor who drinks.
Oh yes, for his personal stash. But she is like a body, like it's like, I'm not even a human being. I'm just a bag of meat and blood. But robot. before she's even severed like this, when she's going through the fertility treatments, she also kind of feels like that.
A bag of meat, yeah.
And a failing bag of meat.
Right, a bag of meat that won't make burgers.
That isn't doing what it's supposed to do. And she likes plants. There are so many plants and flowers in this episode. Plants are flowers are the symbol of fertility.
But maybe she's more like an ant. She needs to walk the line of the long, long hallways, and that's all she can ever be.
God damn, Lacey, that's a great point. Maybe you're not a plant, you're an ant. I know how you feel about ants.
But you love farms, and we're farming people, baby. We're farming souls.
There's like so many, I was not expecting this episode to get so Terrence Malick-y with like all the natural light bathing the room and people them just like caressing each other's arms and stuff.
Wait, is this the person who did the fucking lake thing? The fucking
No. You're thinking of Jane Campion, who directed Top of Lake.
Yes.
No, this is Tree of Life. This is the director whose actors, he doesn't give them direction, but he's like, you got to constantly be moving. So all that his actors do is twirling, twirling. Okay. So he's the most twirly of directors. There isn't twirling in this episode, but this is a very Tree of Life feeling episode. I wasn't expecting it. A very earthy. But we cut to Ragabi and Devin. They're examining Mark, who just had a stroke or whatever on the last episode. And Ragabi's like, yeah, he'll be okay. And Devin's like,
she's upset enough.
Okay, but Devin is freaking out, and she's like, it's fine. He'll be fine, I think.
Are you a doctor? She will not answer that. It's like, technically, I'm not a doctor anymore. Devin is just such a good fucking actress. No, the person who plays her is. That's exactly how I would act. Be like, okay, well, whatever the fuck you did, you just broke my fucking brother. You will never touch him again.
And I am now taking possession of his body. Mm-hmm. He's not able to be in control of his body anymore. It's me. I decide what happens to his body. But Ragabi says like, no. This is what he wants to be happening. Mm-hmm. Right to choose, my body, my choice. Sure. But she explains like, he's reintegrating. That's what he's doing. We've been hiding this from you. He probably thought you would discourage this. But this is what he's doing. And she's like, well, if you mess with him again, I'll throw you off a fucking bridge. But
I like that she's like, you're obviously smarter than me. I love that comment.
Also tells her Gemma is alive. Like, all he wants to know is if Gemma is alive. Gemma's alive. What?
I like that they give that character time to like grieve and process that too, because
You're
that's
right.
just very realistic. I mean, she met. You could see they have a lovely relationship with each other. She told Devin that she was pregnant before she told Mark. That's why the wine glass, Matt, because she was pretending.
Okay, Lacey.
Oh, I'll call you Matt.
No, you're right. And it's characters getting knowledge and us getting to see it is important. And that's what's frustrating about this episode is the episode will not.
Like, if this episode's only great because you're withholding, then are you really fucking doing anything? It's aggravating.
Yeah, we get more shots of Gemma in the present getting measured and observed. She has to do her 50 pages. Whenever she talks in this sort of pleasant monotone. And she has to answer these questions.
I'd say disassociated monotone, but all right.
I mean, yeah.
Which is interesting because that's what an innie is, right? It's dissociated from your actual brain, but like to live this life. This episode perfectly illustrates what I've kind of been trying to say of the outie life. By giving yourself an innie, you are also just turning your outie into an innie, and that like just the mundane. All you are is the person who gets your innie ready for the actual productivity part of the day. And if all you're ever taking part in is the maintenance, then how is that a better life? And you watch Gemma in this, and she's so fucking checked out. That why not? Why isn't she just an innie at this point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read it as she has been going through this for so long and knows exactly how they want her to act, and she's just going to give it to them, and maybe that'll speed things up, speed things along, and she still holds out hope that she's going to get out of here. Mm-hmm. They ask her like Blade Runner Voight Kampf test questions. You see a tortoise in the desert. Do you pick up the tortoise?
Do you drink?
Like, if you were caught in a mudslide, would you be more afraid of suffocating or drowning? She says drowning. Suffocating is way more scary than drowning. Right.
But yes, but it makes the meter go crazy, and it makes the nurse have a knowing smile. So I do think she's like supposed to lie to make sure the meters are working. I don't know what the fuck. But yeah, you're going to suffocate.
That's a universal thing that people are more afraid of suffocating than drowning?
In a mudslide? Yeah.
Just in general.
I hear drowning is really relaxing. My dad said it was great. So yeah. Suffocating. I am very claustrophobic. You know this. This is why I don't like snow or submarine movies.
She asks her, how many rooms do we have to do today? What the fuck does that mean? You'll find out.
You'll find out.
6. And she goes, shit.
No, she doesn't say shit till she sees her outfit.
She goes and looks at the outfit that they've picked out for her and says, shit. So the rooms. Tell us about the rooms, Laci.
Each room is an experience. Each room is what does the survey say? 10 rich people said, what are the top 10 things they would not want to do for the rest of their life? And those are what the rooms are. Go to the dentist, fly, write thank you cards, gymnastics. I don't know. She's in like a gym outfit.
I gotta
at some
go
point.
to gymnastics. All the rooms are named after cities. There's Allentown, there's Wellington, the capital of New Zealand. There's Zurich. There's others, Cairns.
What the fuck is Cold Harbor then?
Yeah, I looked it up. Is Cold Harbor. There are places called Cold Harbor, but it doesn't seem like a big one. So that seems to be the difference.
Well, she certainly noticed it. So she's going in, and we realize that's what the dental tools were for, because I hear Mr. Whistler coming, whistling the same old song he was whistling when he went to fucking the place where Bert worked for some goddamn reason to get dental tools. She goes in there and she says, she's the chair, and she's like, I'd like a break. And he says, but you haven't been here in 6 weeks. And she says, I was just here. Or, he's gaslighting her.
Okay, well, I mean, this is the indication that this is our first indication. This innie just does this.
Yeah.
Goes to the dentist, leaves the dentist, comes right back to the dentist. The dentist says, it's been 6 weeks, but it's
because he knows what she means. To her, it was just the last time she was conscious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if you look in the letter of the law, he's not wrong. It's been 6 weeks. Your mouth is healed. Time to get more dental work, lady.
But this innie does not understand why that would be necessary. I have no idea that she's being abused in this dentist's office, but it is strange to me that the way she's cowering, although he seems to be doing dental work without any anesthesia, so that's fucking crazy. But, when she leaves the room and she's in a lot of pain, she's like, how long was I in there? And the nurse is like, 2 hours, which they both seem kind of surprised at the length of time was needed to be in there. 2 hours seems like a very long time to just be raw dogging some fucking dental procedures. And it just seems suspicious.
Well, to me, I think this is, it's abuse no matter what. But, how much pain, how much can we inflict on people? If she only knows life in the dental chair, is she still going to willingly get into the dental chair? Do we have to use force? Like, these are all questions we need answers to.
True,
if we're developing this product.
Right. You're right. Because she's going to go see a dentist who doesn't understand why she's acting this way. Who's going to have to answer questions for her. Like, she's like, I just was here. That I'm just a regular dentist, ma'am. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I haven't seen you in a long. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, no, you'll just have to go to a Lumen dentist. Now Lumen, all of my money goes back into Lumen.
I suppose. But I guess everyone would have to have some kind of awareness of, like, as soon as someone's being weird, they're like, oh, you're an innie. Okay, I got it.
There'll be, like, there are rich people dentists, and there are dentists for the specialized with kids with autism. So it's like, I specialize in innie dental patients. So this dentist, who he will come to find out his name is Dr. Maurer, and he is played by Robbie Benson, the 70s teen idol, prominent stage actor, also the voice of Disney's The Beast. If you look at his IMDb, he's just the Beast for 35 years. If the Beast is talking, Robbie Benson is there.
Is walking.
Delightful as this creepy, just despicable little sicko. She is terrified. She doesn't want to comply, but she does. Devin talks to her comatose brother. She's like, hey, I need you to come out of the coma, please.
Don't leave me with Rickon.
Please, God, he made me go mountain climbing. In the past, Mark, pays the visit to Gemma's office where Laci says she has to hurriedly cover up her top secret Lumen plans. And he's like, I brought you a gift. It's an ant farm. You said you love ants. I said I love plants. I hate ants. But hey, it works because he's Adam Scott and he looks like that and they're funny and cute together.
Where are we going with this?
Just telling everybody what happens. What?
Oh, that's just now?
Yeah.
Oh God, this episode is hard to talk about.
So then we get a scene where it's pretty early in their relationship or their marriage. They're in the honeymoon phase of their relationship. You can tell because he has purchased a baby crib and she's like, "What? Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean it was on sale." And she teases him instead of being like, isn't it a little soon? I mean, I'm not even pregnant or we haven't even discussed having kids or whatever. She just teases him about not being a handyman. Now you can tell this is the honeymoon phase of the relationship because in real life, baby crib discussion and assembly of baby crib leads to people like turning into Adam Driver from Marriage Story and punching a hole in the wall and throwing a phone out of the window and stuff like that. But we get,
this is not from true life experience. We promise.
No, we hired somebody.
Yeah, I know.
We get a home movie montage, we get the home video filter of their lives. We see them making love in a field of flowers.
Do we?
Edward and Bella are there.
Yeah, I felt Twilight a couple times.
They caress each other's faces. They grade papers. There's plants that are growing, but there's no children. No children are growing. Where are the children?
Can really strain a relationship.
There's a scene with Mark, Gemma, Devin, and Rickon. They're all sitting around a table, and Rickon and Devin are telling them about their rich person mountain climbing expedition. Again, this is Rickon's a rich piece of shit because he's like, I mountaineered in my youth.
Of course. You totally called that correctly. Here it is on display.
And Devin is going to pour some wine into Gemma's glass, but Gemma elegantly blocks her. And they have it's a great little moment between these two characters, and the actresses play it very well of like, so you're not drinking? She just, oh, fuck right off. And just understanding.
Well, and just completely moved by it. Like, just that's how you can tell the love between these people, that she's just so fucking happy for them.
And presumably Gemma hasn't even told Mark yet.
Well, that's what clear.
We got the Gemma though, from like ultimate optimism. Oh shit, I'm finally pregnant to now she has had a miscarriage. And the show is going to make you do a little bit of work. You have to be a little bit of a grown up and realize, what does it mean if she's bleeding on her legs and she gets into the shower and she's very sad, and even though she's dressed, she's taking a shower on the floor. People who want everything very, very clearly spelled out for them will be annoyed. But then Mark comes in. Because the show doesn't say miscarriage. I had a miscarriage.
You can't tell?
I think there are going to be a lot of little babies on YouTube who don't understand.
I thought you were joking. I mean, it's almost heavy-handed.
I mean, yes, but again,
little tiny babies.
This is the withholding of information that's good, though. This is
right.
The withholding of information, but we can understand because we're humans
showing us.
And no human experience, and we're seeing it.
Yeah,
yes.
Show me, don't tell me. That's always going to be fine.
And Adam Scott comes in. It's not like, what's wrong, baby? I have miscarried our baby.
Right.
And now I'm bleeding all over my legs. Oh. And then it morphs into Mark standing in the rain, presumably at her funeral, which is very quickly morphed into.
I didn't see that.
Because it morphs from him in the shower to him outside being rained on, but he seems to be wearing formal attire.
Gotcha.
I might have just filled that detail in my head.
No.
And then funerals are only ever in the rain in movies and TV. And then Miss Casey standing by his desk saying she's here to observe Laci R. I think this is literally footage from the first season right here. But then we get more fancy bullshit of like how we saw the blood tubes at the beginning. Now we see computer wire tubes. We go in and see where do these go? They lead to the
doppelgangers
workstation. I don't think these are the actual doppelgangers.
Yes, because there's one that looks like Irv, and there's one that looks like Dylan. Also, that doesn't look too far off from. Look at them. They look like Walmart versions of the real people.
Nah, I don't buy it.
And they're each look over the shoulder of the one.
I know that they are supposed to each correspond to one of Dylan, Irv, Helly, and Mark.
Well, it just so happens that the one that looks like Dylan is looking at Dylan. You can see him on the screen.
Yeah, I know.
So what the fuck are you saying?
I don't think these are the literal things that they saw, the creatures of the woods that they saw on their orc bow.
Yeah, no, they found 3 sets of actors that look kind of like each other. That makes more sense than just having 2. Yep.
And there's like some time lapse. I mean, the Mark's guy is observing Mark through a camera in Mark's computer, and we just see him doing some bullshit. Whatever Mark does on his thing, he now has to do something over here. The show's not going to tell you what it is.
We know everything. We're Lumen.
There's a time lapse of how long we get to see them working on that, and then Mr. Drummond comes in and says, "Are the severance barriers holding?"
You would have heard
Dr.
otherwise.
Maurer says, "Yes, the technology is working."
Yeah.
And he says, "You like her.
She's easy to like.
She's fond of me too, of course."
I heard she tried to break your fingers. We are not for you. We are against you. We are Lumen.
So
Don't get comfortable.
the fertility clinic. We see them visit the fertility clinic. Mark in the first season alluded to them going to fertility treatments when they couldn't get pregnant. But they enter this clinic, and very quickly they pass by Dr. Maurer, who gives Gemma a look. We hear a child playing, and Laci said that's why she didn't think this was a fertility clinic, because why would somebody be at a fertility clinic if they already have a kid?
I mean, it happens.
I mean, yes, of course it could happen, but Gemma looks over at this kid, and when the shot then pulls away, we see the kid is not there, not present.
But the kid probably is the age that their child would have been had Gemma not miscarried. That is why we think there is a phantom kid here. But I do wonder if this isn't Gemma thinking about being able to have escaped the Lumen arrangement that she made. Like, that was my ticket to a normal life. I think it's very suspect that Dr. Bauer is here and that he gives her an annoying look. I mean, I think that is him saying, like, look, you don't make this happen. If this doesn't work out for you, you know what we have to do.
Or he's just always looking for or he's just like, hey, pretty lady who I like, or always scouting for prospects.
But why would he also be the Lumen guy that's downstairs if this is not all connected?
No, the idea is like Lumen is everything.
No,
even when things aren't labeled Lumen, this might not literally be a Lumen clinic, but like everything just runs through Lumen.
I got you. But you even acknowledge that he gave her a knowing look.
Yeah. Yeah. But it could mean a lot of different things.
Fine.
We pull out, see, the child is not there. It's a projection of hers. Interestingly, when Mark starts talking, you no longer hear the child.
Right.
So you can even
he
hear it.
snaps her out of it.
Mm-hmm. And he tells her, he's like, look, this is the next step for so many people, and it's going to be okay. And I love you. And she's like, I love you too.
I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry. And he like shakes her. No, you don't have to say sorry. Then this clinic morphs into the Lumen clinic that Gemma has to always go to and just sit there and wait forever. We get the sexiest scene in TV history where Mark gives Gemma a shot in the butt.
The thing that Matt finally found his kink, everybody.
Finally, I've been looking. She says, she tells him, I'm a little nervous, and he doesn't respond. And she said, baby, I said I'm a little nervous. I think this is a great little detail for their relationship that like, she never resents him for not responding. She just knows sometimes he gets a little aloof and I have to remind him like, hey, please do answer my thing. Please respond to me.
Yeah.
Just a nice little observation about relationships. This is a good relationship, even as they have their struggles. And he says, this is, you're nervous, but this is the final step. And there's a kid out there just waiting for us. Just got to reach out and grab her, right? And I guess I'm just an idiot because the first time I watched this episode, I was like, wait, are they adopting? Jesus. And they're getting an adoption shot?
Yeah. You got to get all your vaccines.
And then he's talking, metaphorically.
Right.
Or maybe they're hardcore Christians and they think there's an angel up in heaven that we just need to find on a cloud.
So
You're our baby
angel
now.
Is a stork.
An angel
and it
baby.
Brings it down in their mouth.
Yes. So in the present, Dr. Maurer is interviewing Audi Gemma, and at the same time, she is being observed in the control room. How many rooms did you visit today? And you don't remember anything. Did you exit any of the rooms feeling despair, fervor, gaiety, sexual attraction to your doctor? Oh, nothing. Then she asks, there's only one room I haven't been to yet, and I noticed today there's a name on it, Cold Harbor. Or there's not a name. There's a name on it. He says Cold Harbor. She's like, so what happens once I've been into all the rooms?
And then he says the vaguest fucking shit ever.
You will see the world again.
And the world will see
you. The
you.
world will see you. So I'll see Mark Mark will benefit from the world you're siring. Kier will take away all his pain just as Kier has taken away yours. And now she's just like, can you please just talk like a normal person? And he's like, I don't remember how to do that. Good night, Gemma. Dream sweet.
Dream sweet. No, it's sweet. You're right.
I can't even get the word order correct. We get one more shot in the past of Gemma having a negative pregnancy test. Mark is calling to her, but she shuts the door. As soon as she's starting to shut him out. This is why I don't think she's a secret agent for Lumen. I think that she decided to go to them for help because she knows how much the pregnancy means, and she's now sort of
okay. Well, just like what happened to me with TikTok, when I thought TikTok was going away, I just started distancing myself from it. It is something we do to protect ourselves. So your evidence for why she isn't just my evidence for why she is. She is just allowing it to fade and to get less and less strong, and it's killing her that it's happening, but she's letting it happen.
In the present, Devin is very reasonably mad at this weird couch surfing brain surgeon for not answering her questions straightforwardly. She's like, no, he's fine. He's stable. It was an isolated brain attack. It's okay.
We hope.
He's journeying right now. He'll wake up when he's ready. So Devin says, like, well, I had this idea. There's this innie cabin where innie ladies can go when they're pregnant. And Ragabi's like, yeah, the fucking birthing retreat. She's like, well, maybe we could take Mark there and be able to talk to his innie. And she's like, no, idiot.
They're two fucking different things.
This is how you get Gemma out. She says, really? Because this looks like how you'll kill my brother. You know what? I'm just going to call Harmony Cobell. And Ragabi's like, don't fucking do that. Are you crazy?
I mean, I'm on Team Ragabi.
Oh, yes. No, yes.
Okay.
I don't even think Devin meant to do it. She's just like, maybe this will move you. She's Lumen through and through. She was raised by them. She's a soldier. We resume the treatment as soon as he wakes up. Lacey read this as Cobell being like raised in a test tube by Lumen.
I didn't say raised in a test tube. I said that she was an orphan or something. She was literally raised there. I don't think she's ever left here. She didn't even know how to get out of it.
Business people talk this. If you're a Disney person, I've been at Disney for 40 years. I only think of the world in Disney terms.
Fine.
Ragabi's like, if you're calling her, I'm out. I quit. And she's like, okay, I won't call her. Well, I quit anyway. I'm going.
No, that's not how it, but fine.
Mark mutters something. This always happens in a thing when you see a coma on screen. Somebody, well, I wonder what it means.
Don't worry.
Now we're going to find out.
Tell you.
He's like, Chicka
boom boom. Chicka power.
Chikhai Bardo. It means ego death because Gemma is doing these. Well, we're not going to tell you what they are. She's seeing these cards and has to write out her responses, whether this is some sort of self-guided therapy to deal with not being able to conceive on the timeline you want, or whatever this is. Mark, she explains like it's ego death. This on the card, this is this guy fighting himself. And Mark says it looks like two different guys. He's like, no, it's the same guy. You can tell because of the haircut, which is something you have to do the entire time you're watching. Well, this episode, the doctor has different hair in each room. He's playing a different character, but also the whole show is about dealing with two people who are really the same person and
who are at odds with each other.
Yes.
Only one can survive.
But Mark is like making fun of her a little bit for maybe this seems like a little new agey. I don't know.
No, he's clearly bothered because she hasn't been letting him in. You know, that he says like, I don't know what your feelings. That goes to my point about she's been distancing herself. And so he's being passive aggressive and picking on the thing that she's into. It's a new thing and you're being weird and different. And so this is part of your weird difference and it's dumb.
Look, it could turn out that she is secretly working for Lumen. I just prefer this is just a detail of a character going through a little struggle and as a result is distancing herself from her husband because she is depressed and feeling despair. But you could be right and the show could make it good. I was wrong about Helly being a secret agent and I think they handled that well. So that could be the case. But yeah, don't tell me how I'm feeling. I have no idea how you're feeling. And she says, like shit, beat to shit. And he says, so let's stop. And I just think this is the shittiest thing to say.
Yeah.
Adam Scott is like probably the best actor there is at playing a nice guy who doesn't do any of that seems mean, but you realize later that was mean.
That's very mean.
That's really shitty.
It's like we're both going through a really hard time because I really want this thing and I need you to really want this thing too. And now you've just left it hanging for me. This, like, I told you we could quit. And it's like, all you're saying is this isn't as important to you and it's not worth this hard time right now.
Well, or like, and he probably doesn't even mean it.
Right.
But just like, I don't want to fucking hear you complain right now. because it's not like you're going to stop. And this is a thing people will do if you have to vent about a problem you're having. They want to fix it for you, or they want to say
they want to end it.
Why don't you just stop doing the thing? It's like, well, that's not an option. That's not what I want.
Right.
I want to just talk about how this is really tough on me, but it might all be worth it. But if this is like a Lumen op, this Chikhai Bardo thing, well, I think it is because they sent it to her in the mail, and
she got on a mailing list she didn't remember signing up for.
I mean, but this is in line with Lumen's thing of like weaponizing wellness language, and wellness language very influenced by by ad hoc, like adopting Eastern sort of philosophy.
Yes, but also weaponizing people's trauma and people's hard times. Like it makes sense for a fertility clinic to send this sort of thing out to you while you're vulnerable. Maybe it's influencing the way that you're thinking about yourself, and that's exactly what they need. They need more pliable people. Yeah.
And you pointed out like she might have just from the beginning have been a kind of personality because, she likes Russian existential novels and stuff, that she maybe has less of an ego right. In the psychological sense. We see Gemma getting ready for the day. She turns down her room like it's a hotel room, like makes the bed real tight, or lays out everything. I don't know if this is something she has to do or if it's just like the only thing she can do to entertain herself, but she has to be an airplane innie. So next thing she knows, she's on a plane trip and it's going real rough. They're going through turbulence and the flight attendant is Dr. Maurer and he's like, everything's okay, but he's flying all
over the place and giving her food for some fucking reason. And
I guess this is the innie who I would choose to be because I like flying, but I do like
flying. But it's
flying.
only turbulent flying. It's only the bad kind. It's never just flying, Matt. Why would they simulate just flying?
This is this is product testing. They're seeing how's she going to react to turbulence. Most flights you're going to be on are not going to be like this, but you need to see.
Okay, fine.
Wait a minute. What are you saying?
I think that she's only turbulence flying innie.
So there's regular flying innie?
No, I don't think there is. I think there's like
Of course there's regular fly. These rich people are outraged that they have to fly at all. Want to make it as comfortable as possible with a private jet, but
fine, but I don't think they're testing it.
Okay.
I think there's just travel innie. Fine, but I think that they're only testing the hard parts. I feel like this is always what this innie is experiencing.
But I do like flying, but if you're just on an endless flight that never lands, I mean, nothing worse than being stuck on the tarmac. Or do you also get to go through the airport? Because if you got to go through that, like that's kind of fun. That's a nice little thing at the end of the rainbow. Snack? Yeah. Get to do some people watching. Then we get Christmas innie. Well, first we check in with Mr. Drummond. They're like, Mark S. is stuck at 96%. The nosebleed set us back. By the way, creepy doctor, when you're done with her, you're going to have to say goodbye to her. And also, what the fuck are you wearing, bro? He's wearing a Christmas sweater because he's about to go into the Christmas room.
Why doesn't Mr. Frolic understand what the fuck this guy's up to? I'd love to know.
He hates this guy. He
really hates this guy.
Wants to josh him a little bit. Audi Gemma, before she goes into the Christmas room, has to put on the wedding ring because in this room, she's married to Dr. Maurer and they're just having an endless Christmas. Dear my friend Henry, thank you for the electric grouter. Her handwriting is getting illegible. Now, is this because she's exhausted or is it because like she's too severed? She can't even write stuff. Her brain's too fucked up.
No, it is very clear that it's because she's exhausted. That's why she has ink all over her hands. She's been doing this for hours.
And Dr. Maurer tells her, you're on the last Christmas card. Well, when she says like, how much longer do I have to do this? She's like, well, you're done. But Christmas has a funny way of coming back around each year. And she says, it's always Christmas. And let me tell you, folks, if you're a parent, this is also how it
fucking
feels.
True.
And there is literally a Disney cartoon where Donald Duck's nephews, they get like a monkey's paw wish that it's Christmas every day. And then it's a Groundhog's Day where they live Christmas every day. And it's horror.
It's horror.
But as they leave the room, he's like, I love you. Well, hey, I said, I love you. I love you too. And later, Gemma will say the same thing to Mark. Well, later in the past. In a flashback, Mark is putting that crib together finally, but now he's getting frustrated as these things are designed to do to end marriages. And it seems to be doing that because he like just breaks it in frustration as Gemma cries downstairs. But then we do see a little montage of their lives together. We have a Christmas that they have together, and it's even kind of framed the way that the Christmas room at Lumen is.
Well, the tinsel. It's not totally common to put tinsel on a tree, and it's the exact same tree almost.
And so is Dr. Maurer literally recreating things from their lives, or is it thematic. There's no causal connection. We're just
could be,
seeing,
but
we see the real thing and then the fake thing.
Sure, but I mean, I said I love you. It does seem like he's trying to trigger something that he's saying what she said.
Yeah.
The day she's taken.
He comes to visit her in her quarters where she's like, this is my leisure minute where I eat cheesecake and get left alone. But now my doctor's coming to ask me inane questions about tortoises and stuff. Gemma, were you a good girl today? And finally she's just like, I want to go home. And he just turns off the music because she's listening to music.
She's listening to a song that she listens with Mark.
Oh, okay. I didn't pick up on that.
It's like their song.
Your husband remarried last year. He has a daughter
So
now.
fucked up. And he knows exactly the kind of trouble she had. That's her fertility doctor.
Yeah.
It's so fucked up.
And she just immediately says, I don't believe you. Well, Gemma, you've been here a long time. He's moved on. And maybe you've moved on too. In one of the rooms, what do you think? Do you feel yourself gravitating to one room or another? Maybe you felt things behind one of those doors that you never felt for Mark. Maybe I've seen it. Says, Gemma, I've seen you love me in one of these rooms. You totally do. I can show you video footage, maybe. And he pulls a book off her shelf. It's Ivan Ilyich. And he's like, let me guess, he dies at the end. So he's like making fun of what she used to do for a living, basically.
Well, and what her and Mark bonded over.
But like literally a professor who studies like Russian literature. And clearly this is important to her. But she just hits him over the head with a chair. By God! Dr. Maurer is down. She's hit with a chair. She steals his key card and tries to flee with that nurse in pursuit through these hallways with the lights that only turn on when you pass them by, like a computer simulation. She makes it to the elevator and goes up and comes out in the exports hall. So This is what that exports hall is. It's not the way I said the season would end with them going down this elevator. I guess it still could be, but she is turned into Miss Casey. And Mr. Milchick now meets her, and he's out of breath. He must have been called in a panic.
Of course.
And he's like, "Oh, Miss Casey, listen, your Audi came to this building for an art exhibition, and whoopsie-daisy went down the wrong elevator." And she's like, "Oh, well, can I just no? Off you go, Miss Casey. Oh, but no, goodbye." She goes back down the elevator and sinks in despair and realizes like there's no escape. The only place she can be alive is this specific floor because they have rigged it so that she will just turn into an innie no matter where she goes.
It's the same way that she sinks in despair after she has the miscarriage. And that's why I think it's connected to her ability to stay out of Lumen's claws. Like there's some kind of, if you're pregnant, if you're a mom, you no longer are what we need. You're not in a contract anymore. And I think that's why there was so much pressure.
But this is, back to simulation theory. This is the simulation you can't escape. Like there's no exit to this universe. If you reach the end of the town, you're just going to see wireframes and you can't go through them. There's nothing on the other side. But this is also a neat little reverse of what Helly tried to do in the first season where her innie tries to escape, goes into the elevator and just turns back into her Audi who's like, well, I'm going to turn around and go back downstairs. But here it's the Audi trying to escape and turns into an innie. They've reversed it. But this is all intercut with the night that Gemma died or died. Mark is typing on his typewriter for some fucking reason because I don't know. I guess this is a show. This show is unstuck from time. Technology's a little erratic. Oh. Do they have computers? It's unclear. But he's clickety clacking on his typewriter and Gemma comes in and she's like, "You sure you don't want to come to the charades party?" And he's like, "No, thank you. Are you sure you want to go?" "Yes, I want to go. Love you. Bye." "Mark, I said I love you." I was like, "Oh, sorry, babe. I love you too." I can't read right here if Lachman is playing her as I know I'm leaving him forever or leaving him for 6 months or
I think normal. Charades was on purpose. I think she knew that would make him not go.
It was a charade.
Oh.
The way this is shot is so beautiful and haunting because it's later that night and there are cars that come in the window and Mark sees them and I guess like that's super unusual.
Well, it's cop cars.
You can't tell that at first. Their lights aren't flashing or anything. Yeah. He just gets up and goes to the door and just stays there in like a super state. Like
he hears 2 car doors closed and that's what really freaks him out. Cause like there shouldn't be 2 people here.
Sees the cops take off their hats and like I know exactly what this means. but like Schrodinger's cat, like until I open that door, it's
Yes,
real. But I can
yes.
stand here in this super state where my wife is simultaneously alive and dead.
Yeah.
And his wife is simultaneously
Right.
alive and dead.
Yes.
And again, they're cutting back and forth between this and Gemma in the exports hall and then down the elevator, and then her nurse being like, "Come on, honey, it's gonna be okay." There's a dissolve where you see both Mark and Gemma on screen at the same time looking at each other. The show loves its dissolves, loves its symmetrical shot compositions.
And they're severed from each other.
Well, we're back in the present. Mark in his house wakes up from he's done journeying, and he wakes up and Devin is like, "Mark, where did you go?" And he doesn't answer. His eyes are bloodshot. He remembers Gemma in the library before everything got complicated. And then we see Gemma's face taken up with a full screen, and that's how the episode ends. Is he right now like, is he fully reintegrated, or is this like, I literally just saw all the things you just saw, I saw in
That's
my
how
coma.
I took it. He's journeying.
And I'm just experiencing time as one thing happening to me right now.
I would imagine a coma while being reintegrated is pretty fucking lucid.
So I appreciate it just ending with this emotional ending of, it's not like it advances the plot ball. It's just, damn, this sucks. This sucks for all involved. It's sad shit. But that's the episode. And we're going to give it our final thoughts and letter grade for Chikhai Bardo.
This show will always be on the honor roll for me. So, B+. It's just not what I don't know what I want. I think the show knows what it needs to show me, and it's showing me. I'm not going to love every single episode, but watching it more made me like it more, which is exactly the same thing that happened with the retreat episode.
And same thing for me. It is the one, it has the two things I don't like in a show of leaning hardcore into puzzles. Solve this mystery, won't you, people on Reddit? These people will talk in coded language for no other reason than to deceive you. And I just will always resent that. I don't think that's a good way to tell a story. Again, if you're going to withhold information for us, there should be a character reason to do it.
Right.
We should know what the characters know, but we are watching characters, including Gemma, who knows something we don't know. She knows what she's doing down there, or knows why she went there, or she knows she's a Lumen secret agent, or knows that she's not, but we need to know it.
Unless we're a stand-in for Mark, who doesn't know it.
But we're not Mark in this episode. We're Gemma in this episode. That's
true.
who the episode is following.
You are correct.
And, in a movie or whatever, if you check in on the villain, you get to hear the villain's plans. Here, when we check in with villainous Mr. Drummond, he's just said, "Oh, it is near time." So, but for a puzzle box episode, I think it's super well done. I think Dichen Lachman, very interesting actress who I've only seen in a couple of things other than this, I think does a good job of carrying this episode. And Adam Scott's great. I think this is well directed, as every episode is. I miss Helly. I miss Irv.
I miss our guys.
I miss Dylan. And by the way, Patricia Arquette has been in 2 episodes this season. That's insane. The opening credits end with her being the big bad at the end of the opening credits. But it's like, this character's not in the show anymore. And I miss her. But I'm going to give it a B. Just B. Just a flat B.
Got it.
Or B-. I don't know. Didn't love it, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
You're going to go through it, because we can't be innies while we're watching the episodes we don't like. We have to go through
right.
the episodes we don't like to really enjoy the ones that pay off.
And we've said this before. We love the show The Leftovers, and The Leftovers would do things like have an episode where now the main character wakes up in an alternate reality where he lives in a hotel forever. And if you were watching it in real time, which we didn't, I'm sure you were so furious. But when you watch it all as one, as I do, I'm like, this rules. I love this so much. They're my favorite episodes of this.
Go drown that bitch.
It's great. Yes.
Okay.
Everybody watch The Leftovers,
You
please.
should fucking do that. In fact, we're thinking of doing a podcast on The Leftovers. Should we? Leave us a comment somewhere. Find us.
Would love to do. Speaking of, I just want to give a sincere thank you to everybody.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Our Severance show has been really the most well-received thing we've ever done, honestly.
Yeah, you're all here.
People, every comment we get that says like, I like your approach to the show. They get it.
You seem to get us, right? Our take on this, we are not trying to be different, but feel like we want to talk about it for different reasons. And why not do that?
Exactly.
There's got to be people out there like us.
And appreciate our sense of humor and how much we joke about giving your wife shots in the butt. And
I'm his wife, by the way. We always forget to announce that.
we did say that in this episode. I remember I made a note to say that.
Did you? Because I mean, we do have different last name initials, so maybe people think we're not.
Yeah, if people who don't know us from
progressive,
people don't know us from Load Bearing Beams, and people will listen to Load Bearing Beams and say she doesn't seem to like that man very much.
I like him pretty good.
Check out Load Bearing Beams, please. That's our
Yeah.
movie podcast. We do a different deep dive into a movie every week. This week it's our Oscars special.
Can I also say I've got a lot more pep in my step in those because of the nature of this. What we're trying to do here is get these out as soon as possible. If this happens over the weekend, we have to record at night. Our days are full of madness. So I am so fucking tired by the time we're doing this. So apologies, My Annie just doesn't get a lot of sleep. Or what, you know what I mean?
We did the Oscar special this week. 5 hours of talking about Oscar. Well, but it's our rare chance to get to talk about new movies. So we can talk. You can hear us talk about.
Do it. Do it.
The Brutalist. Honora,
you can skip around. Don't worry. There are
etc. And this week we'll be doing Rob Zombie's movie, The Devil's Rejects, with Austin Proctor from the Frightmares.
And we promise that's not 5 hours long. It's probably an hour and a half if I had to guess.
It's an hour and a half. We already recorded it.
There you go.
But I was told by management that Lacey's Audi is going to be going on an elongated cruise voyage.
All right, fuck off.
So you will not be here with us next week.
I know. I won't be able to do next week's episode, but I am going to come back on Tuesday and immediately tell you my thoughts. I will watch it on the plane.
Right.
It's only 37 fucking minutes. What's up with that?
So they're going to send a replacement down here to the floor. I don't know who it's going to be.
I hope she's as hot as Helly.
So Load Bearing Beams, subscribe, YouTube, etc., Twitter,
it's all the things.
Patreon.
Lumen is listening.
We love you. Bye.
And also with you. Do I say stuff? No, this isn't the collector.
In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.